The room you are in looks more like a palace than a prison. Every part of it is impeccably clean, despite the fact that the cell's inhabitant has been dead for millennia. His shriveled, mummified corpse sits motionless at a table laid with a sumptuous meal. Why, hello there, my dear. The corpse pauses to clear its desiccated throat. That's supposed to be gray, but anyways. I've been waiting and wondering what my guest was up to and why he hadn't shown up yet. Don't be shy. Have a seat. Eat to your heart's content. When you're someone important, you don't talk business. Stand up. You don't talk business standing up now, do you? And we need to discuss business to discuss. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Elder Pash, Rune Lord of Wrath, a destroyer and conqueror, the great tyrant of Bakrakhan. Doesn't ring any bells? No. I understand. Many millennia have passed, and all of them have been spent in this prison as Bosman's captive. It's been a while since I strolled around Galarian. My heart was still beating back then. It wasn't until later that I became a lich. I wasn't fond of the idea of dying a prisoner here, you see. Well, that's all beside the point. The guards tipped me off that you had barged into this prison. I thought fate might bring you to my doorstep. I've been expecting you since. A marvelous find. I have long been looking for a sufficient old but sentient undead specimen to test my theory about the one onset of postmortem senility. Yoo-hoo, Mr. Mummy. Oh god. We're gonna run a few cognitive tests. I will say a word. The rest of Nenio's monologue is drowned out by Elder Pesh's creaking laughter. Trust me, young lady, I'm in no danger of going senile, but I like you. You reminded me of an acquaintance of mine. It's been such a long time. He was good, both at work and, but this is no time for reminiscence, and even less so for experiments. Rumors about you have been going around the abyss for a while now. Rumors fly free. You see, can't snare them, can't cage them. Even down here in the deepest dungeons, a tale flies by every now and again. About the time you took Dresden from the demons, or about the time a goddess and a demon came to coax you to their side. I've long since wanted to see you for myself and take your measure. I see. That you feel the dead eyes fix their gaze on you. I see. That explains it. They say that your deeds could not have been performed by a simple mortal, but you are not simple at all. All a creature of life and death, a wanderer between the light and the dark. I met someone like you only once, and she too accomplished quite a lot in her strange half-life. I want to know more about you. By all means, I have no reason not to tell you. I've got some impressive stories to share. I was a great tyrant in life. The good folk were scared witless of me, and in death. As you can see, my power is nothing to sniff at. I continue my explorations on magic, the kind that your generation knows nothing about. Go ahead, my dear, ask away. So we have a common enemy in Baphomet? Indeed. Alas, I haven't had the pleasure of wounding him by my own hand, although I'd dearly love to spill his guts. Yes, I've heard about your feat. Ever since he rushed back to his abyssal realm and locked himself up in his citadel. Everyone's been going on and on about you, my dear. What kind of mortal is this that managed to injure our mighty lord? He won't soon forget you. He may be ancient, but he's such a child at heart. He's been the same ever since he was created. All he cares about are his grudges. Asmodeus wounded him. Lamashtu left him. Descari doesn't see him as his equal. Nocticular refused to bed him. I mean, I can see why. He's a walking collection of scars. His wounds are his essence, so you take heed now. Poor thing, he must be so sad and lonely. People think that demons are made of hatred and malice, but really, they're made of pain and sorrow. If only we could help them. But we can't. Arishle's voice is filled with grief. You're right, a demon's life is never-ending torment, and each one takes revenge for their suffering on everyone around them. They'll just keep on doing it, because those like me are few and far between. Most of them will never change their ways. If I could only talk to each of the demons, if I could only free them from the abyss. Tell me about your great accomplishments. They don't teach you youngsters anything these days, then? Well, listen. 10,000 years ago, there was the great empire of Thessalon, and no nation of today could hold a candle to its glory. It was led by Emperor Zin in accordance with the 7 virtues of rule. His reign was long but ended in tragedy. Zin was deposed by 7 stewards who then split Thessalon between them. When they twisted the virtues of rule for the sake of their ever-growing power and created the magic of the 7 vices. By the way, those spells of yours, all those silly schools. Oh, they were all based on our concepts, except you lot have lost track of their substance, the power itself, over the centuries. Oh, that's a neat bit of history. That's a neat bit of lore. These 7 great mages of yore called themselves the Rune Lords, the first of whom was me, Elderpash, Lord of Bakrakhan, Rune Lord of Wrath. I'm not going to list all my deeds, that would be boastful, but let's just say I spilled enough blood to fill all the rivers of Galarian, and the years my actions brought could fill the same thrice over. Yes, my reign was grand and glorious, and they would tremble at the mention of my name for many centuries to come. You don't look like a villain to me. Elderbush snickers gleefully. Why, that's because I'm not one. They just call me that, and for what? Was putting 7,000 slaves on the stakes for the rebellion an act of villainy? I had the well-being of others in mind. I gave them a warning so they wouldn't die a horrible death. As for plundering neighboring kingdoms and beheading my servants, there's no evil in all that. That's just the daily life of any ruler. I don't agree with that. I am prone to fits of temper, yes, but only when there's a good reason. If someone failed me, I'd smite them without mercy. It's true, but such lack of restraint is a part of my power and my talent. That's just how we Rune Lords of Wrath are. I remember about 1,000 or so years after I was first thrown in here, a woman by the name of a Lasnist came to visit. She was a fierce one too, ripped my skull off and took it with her as a trophy. Then she went to Bakrakhan, found the one who was the Rune Lord of Wrath of that time, the 3rd one after me, executed his wife and 7 children, and made the ruler himself into an undead. She kept whispering to my skull, asking for advice. She really took a shine to me. She was something, that one. The last Rune Lord of Wrath in history, mind you, so I'm not angry with her about the skull. Why would I be? I was reborn from my phylactery anyway. Good as new. Pretty nonchalant about it. Where do you keep your phylactery? What a curious question, and what, pray tell, do you need this knowledge for, my dear? Methinks you shouldn't be troubling the clever young dead of yours with secrets like that. Let's say you find out where it is, then what? Let's say you destroy it. But why would you? We're not enemies, we're allies. Besides, you couldn't find it if you tried. I'm no buffoon, my phylactery is hidden in a safe place far from here. His soft, harmless chuckle could have fooled anyone, but you notice his hands twitch as soon as you mention the phylactery. I want to learn more about your magic research. Oh, my dear, I've been keeping busy with all sorts of things over these centuries. I bet you youngsters haven't even heard of a whisper about our magic of sin. When Baphomet locked me in here, he wrapped me up in his spells good and tight. The enchantment was so powerful it bound my soul to this very cell. The things I've attempted to circumvent its handiwork. Conjuring golems to spread my power beyond the walls of this prison, moving my consciousness into other bodies. So many minds obliterated in that particular effort, and all for naught. When I grew desperate, I whipped up some fanciful undead just to vex Baphomet and lay waste to his jail. Must have slaughtered half the labyrinth, then stopped. It was too much of a hassle. I'm just bragging at this point. For you to understand my discoveries, you'd have to study as my apprentice for an age or two. You know what kind of education mages used to get? Well, far beyond anything they teach these days. Needless to say, I've hidden most of my valuable creations and treasures far from this place so that Baphomet can't get his hands on any of them. The guard assigned to me here so kind as to accept a modest bribe and carry them out from the prison to stow somewhere safe. Achoo! Whoops. Whoops. Carrying on. Oh God, I complete. Oh my God. I forgot to edit my title. As soon as it loads up, 1 second, chat. Do 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 do. There we go. All fixed. There we go. His phylactery, however, was not one of them. Your knowledge tells you that Alderpesh could not have removed his greatest treasure from the prison, as it contains his very soul. Baphomet's magic would make no distinction between the phylactery and the Lich's physical body. Now everything's clear. Yeah, his phylactery is probably somewhere in this vicinity. You spring chickens are all so hasty. Wait until your hair grows white, and then you'll see how little was actually clear to you in your youth. Tell me about the intellectual prison. Well, what are you interested in, my dear? I know a fair bit. My guards, you see, some of them like coin, and some are just afraid of me. So they tell me everything. I listen to their confessions each and every day. That's why I know all about the secret paths through this here maze, and a thing or two about the inmates. Here's a story for you, a fresh one. Believe it or not, lately, this place has been having a bit of a pest problem in the form of rock. A sneaky little thing, and nosy too. She filches any old thing, no matter its value. But goodness, she is dim. She even paid me a visit. Thought I was asleep. I had to pluck a couple of feathers. How do I find my way through the labyrinth? Well, what do you think demonic pathways are for? Haven't you seen the arcane symbols inscribed all over the place? Those fiendish scribes are the portals you need. They tie all the cells together, and the demons hop right through them. If there's a place you need that's of any importance whatsoever, it'll have a magic symbol like that. I'm looking for Iomede's herald. Is he being held here? He rolls his eyes unnerving. He rolls his unnerving eyes. The noisy fellow? Honestly, all that screaming, I know they're torturing him, but still, I wish I could take his melodious throat and wield it shut with white-hot lead so he'd stop bothering everyone else. But no, can't get to him. They're holding him in the most secure torture room of all, and the warden always keeps the coveted key close by. Who in this prison can help me fight Baphomet? Oh, my dear, this dungeon is full of those who wish to Baphomet ill. There's a catch, though. Most of them are dead as mutton. Not like me, I mean. Properly dead. Their bones are dust, nothing but a ghost left. They're not going anywhere. That's the magic of the intellectual prison for you. They sit here, all locked up, and cry. Oh, how they cry. And when the angel was brought in to be tortured, they all found themselves cranny to hide in. Take a peek between the stones. You might find someone who can tell you something useful. Tell me about the history of this place. The intellectual prison is Baphomet's favorite toy, but no matter how much he brags about it, it's not of his making. Back when Baphomet was still a lusty young goat, he was itching to impress his mother and lover Lamashtu, and he thought stealing the Prince of Darkness's most treasured scepter was a fantastic idea. Like any foolish endeavor, it all ended in tears. Asmodeus caught the thief by the horns, gave him a good spanking, burned his cattle brand. Oh dear. burned his candle brand on Baphomet's forehead, and threw him into the ivory labyrinth to rot in darkness and utter rancor. That's where the Prince of Darkness made his blunder. As my subjects knew well, before imprisoning a thief, one should cut off both their hands, for that is the only way to wean them off this awful habit. Baphomet called to his esteemed mother, but Lamashtu refused to save such an embarrassment, and our little goat was left all alone. I don't know what he did to get the demon Lord Ashkagal's attention, but she took a sudden interest in his troubles and gave him a clue about how to escape. Himiko thinking she's some paragon of mercy. However, she's still a demon, and her gift was poisoned. In his attempts to make a sense of Ashkagal's words, our goat drove himself quite insane, which undoubtedly brought his benefactor a great deal of entertainment. Yet he managed to solve her riddle, and once he did, he stole the ivory labyrinth and brought it into the abyss. He couldn't leave, you know. Such was Asmodeus' will, but technically he never left. He was still in the maze, a true rascal. The labyrinth became the heart of the realm that he formed in the abyss after his escape. He must have been feeling nostalgic about the good old days. How else can you explain the fact that he turned the seal burned on his brow of Asmodeus into his second personal symbol? I guess the little horned misses the good old days when he was tortured on the Prince of Darkness's rack. How did you end up here? I was betrayed, my dear. Sorshen, Rune Lord of Lust, was nothing compared to me, yet she wanted to take my place as the leader and found a source of truly legendary powers. Naturally, I was furious and thought I'd do away with the upstart. Even the odds, I made a deal with Baphomet. I borrowed a part of his might and promised to give him Sorshen when I was done playing with her. Oh, she was a wild one. But the Lord of the Beasts came to me and demanded payment when I was just putting my cunning plans into motion. It goes without saying that Baphomet was more interested in taking me instead of some Sorshen. So, under the pretext of me breaking the terms of our pact, he seized me. A show of treachery on his part, yes, but what else could you expect from a demon? Not all prisoners are allowed this kind of luxury. Don't be fooled. This is all just Baphomet's idea of a joke. That weasel wants to remind me every day how much I lost when he captured me. He went to the trouble of making my cell look exactly like my chambers in Markrakon. My dear, sometimes I take one look at it and I just... He stops mid-sentence, clenching his fists until they crack, and you notice signs of repeated, rigorous restoration all around. Looks like Elderpash has had a number of fits of temper over the centuries of imprisonment. You notice that, contrary to what Elderpash has just said, not all of the interior of the cell belongs to the era of the Rune Lord's rule in Thassalon. Far from it. Many times in here came into use at a much later period in history. Mostly those that are implements for the arcane arts. You can clearly tell that Elderpash's phylactery is somewhere within his chamber, despite his attempts to hide this fact. His concern is understandable. After all, if you destroy it, he will lose his immortality. The phylactery could be absolutely anything. Any of the furnishings or the trinkets around here. That's wonderful, my dear. The youth are so full of curiosity. What sort of business do you have with me? Here's the thing. I've grown weary of sitting here and I can't escape. I've tried so many things, every trick in the book. Nothing. Baphomet placed enchantments on me that hold me in the cell and utterly refused to let me let me walk out the door. And anti-magic spells have never been my forte. I've always believed incineration to be the best defense against enemy sorcery. And here I am, languishing in here. Would you, my dear, kindly help me escape? I'd make it worth your while. What do you say? What kind of payment will I get? I have something that could prove useful to you. Back when I still lived, I was interested in a certain plane called Jandele. A remarkable place. A chimera of sorts, the graveyard for dead plants. Getting there is tricky, but I managed to capture one of the guardians of that plane. I wore them down in a torture chamber, wringing some of their knowledge from them before they perished. He traces an unfinished rune on the table with his fingers. This is part of the rune of Jandele that offers protection from chaos. A substantial asset in the war with the demons, don't you think? Help me regain my freedom, and I'll teach you or your servants how to inscribe this rune. What will you do if you get out of here? Well, first I'll get my kingdom back. I'll enslave the populace, conquer my neighbors, maybe commit genocide against some particularly unruly nation, build myself an army by taking children from their mothers and putting the latter to the sword. Orphans make for loyal troops, you know? I'll clap everyone else in irons and make them work without a moment's rest until my coffers are overflowing. Those who are useless in both war and work will be cut down in mass sacrifices. Basically, I'll make myself comfortable and lead a quiet existence without bothering anyone. I won't help you. Young people are so quick to judge. Have to go.
Beautiful.
I'm always open to ideas.
How to deal with the pets? What happened with the Herald? Haven't reached him yet. Right now I'm trying to figure out where's his phylactery. Oh, you're kidding, right? It seems that this liquid metal was what Elderpest chose as the vessel for his soul. So...
Anything new? We must stop this war. There is no hope, only us. The gods have abandoned. Am I doing it wrong?
Question is, mine.
Let's prove their logic is lacking.
The light take you! The inheritor, guide my blade!
I will
Oh wow, he's actually got a high fortitude. So, okay. So, baleful power morph will not work.
Begone, fiend! Fall! I got this.
Do 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 do. Divine weapon bond is still active, but apparently the sword is not.
No glory without risk!
Oh, he's a mythic monster. Oh, fantastic. Glorious.
Damn you!
Nice. Give me your stuff. Thank you. Oh. Dry hand of the martyr. Oh. Subject gains a +4 morale bonus on saves against all death spells and magical effects. The subject is immune to energy drain and negative energy effects. Spell does not remove negative. Okay, so basically it's just death ward. Okay. Fantastic. Now I kind of wonder what would have happened if we
The goddess protects us.
so we're not just completely wasting our spells all the time. I do kind of wonder what would have happened. How do I get down there? Oh, is that like the second level I need to go to? Huh. Okay. damn it. I forgot it. Boop.
Prepare yourself.
God, I forgot they were immune. I forgot they were immune! Oh, you just left. Fantastic. Close. That was intriguing. Though I'm pretty sure. What is this? Supposed to be a door? I just missed that.